Hey guys, so today I wanted to do a back to basics videos. So we're gonna touch on French braids, Dutch braids, French fishtails, and Dutch fishtails. So once you master these 4 braids, you can do anything. I figured what's a better way to pass this crazy time that we're all in with the coronavirus and all that than to try to do some basic braids. So that's what today's video is gonna be about. Thank you everyone who is an essential worker and is out there working their butts off while the rest of us get to stay home, thankfully. We appreciate all that you do. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so when you start out any braid, you wanna make sure that your hair is nice and detangled. Yes, I'm using a round brush. It's all I have in this. So I'm going to turn around and I'm gonna do a voiceover and I'm going to slowly walk through each of these braids.
Okay, so we are going to do a French braid. So we're going to grab 3 equal sections of hair at the top of our head. You can start on either side, but I'm going to take the left section, cross it over the middle section, then take the right section, cross it over the middle section. That is our first stitch. Now you see how my hands are placed? I'm holding that left strand with my opposite hand, and then I'm gathering hair with the other hand and then adding it into that strand. So you're adding in a section of hair to your left strand before you cross it over the middle. Once you have both sections, you're going to combine them, cross them over the middle section of hair, and then you just want to repeat on the opposite side. So you can see how one hand is holding that right section of hair and the other is grabbing hair from the front and then adding in that section of hair with that right section. And then we're just combining them and then crossing that section over that middle strand of hair. And then just repeating. So it's the same steps over and over. You're just adding in the section of hair from the front into that outer strand of hair, crossing them both over the middle section of hair. So it's all about your hand placement. So once you figure that out, you are golden. So you just keep going, adding in hair to that outside section, crossing it over the middle section, adding hair into that outside section, crossing it over the middle section. And once you work your way down, it gets so much easier, but just keep adding in hair to the outside section, crossing it over the middle, adding in hair to the outside, crossing it over the middle. And you can make this as big or as small as you want. I used pretty big sections, but you're more than welcome to use small sections. Then you just want to finish it off into a 3-strand braid. So this is what it should look like once you are finished. I am gonna go in and just kind of pancake it and loosen it up a little bit. So I'm just pulling a little bit on the actual braid pieces itself that you can see here and just loosening it so it gives it that kind of loose effect. And then I'm taking the 3-strand braid at the bottom and just pulling on both sides to make it a little bit fluffier. And then this is what it looks like. Now on to the Dutch braid. If you can do a French braid, you can do a Dutch braid. So it's the same steps. Divide your hair into 3 sections. Instead of crossing over, you're crossing under. So I'm taking my outer left section of hair, crossing it underneath the middle section of hair, taking my outer right strand of hair, crossing under the middle section of hair. So stitch 1, now we're adding in hair to the outside section of hair. So I'm gathering it from the front, adding it into that outside section. And then once it's combined, I add them both underneath that middle section of hair. And make sure you are doing it tight. So just like the French braid, this is all about hand placement. So make sure you have that down. Now I'm just taking some hair from the front and adding it into that right section of hair. Once they're both combined, I'm going to take that section of hair, cross it underneath the middle section of a hair, like you are seeing here. And then we're just repeating that. So we're going to add in a section of hair to our left section. So taking it from the front and just gathering it and combining it, and then taking them both underneath that middle section of hair. And repeating. So take a section from the front, add it into that right strand, cross them both underneath that middle section of hair. And it gets easier as you keep going down. So again, adding in a section of hair from the front into that left section of hair, crossing them both under the middle, adding in a section of hair from the front into that right outer strand, crossing that section underneath the middle section. And then these are the steps you just want to continue to take. So So one more time, adding in a section of hair from the front into that outer section of hair, combining it, crossing them both underneath the middle section, adding in a section of hair from the front to the outer right strand, crossing them both underneath that middle section. And then you just want to do this all the way down until you run out of hair. So this is what it looks like before I pancake. You can leave it how it is, or you can just pancake it. So I'm just pulling on the outer sections of the braid. If any comes loose, feel free to bobby pin, but this is what it looks like.
And if you're wondering if my arms are tired, they are. By the end, I have 2 more to do, and by the end of this, they're gonna feel like jello. Like it's gonna feel like I lifted weights.
Now onto our French fishtail. So we're gonna take 2 sections of hair at the top, make sure they're even, and I'm gonna start with my left section. I'm taking a small strand from that left section and crossing it over into that right section of hair. And we're just adding it. And then we're taking a small section of hair from that right section and adding it into that left section. Now we're adding in hair. So I like to take a small section of hair off my left section, hold it, and then add in hair from the front of my head. So I'm taking a small section. These should all be small sections. And then combining it into that section of hair. And then crossing them both over into that opposite strand or the opposite section of hair. And then just combining it. And then repeating. So taking off a small section of hair from that right section, holding onto it, adding in a section of hair from the front, making sure it is a small section so that our braid is nice and defined. Adding it into that right section, so combining it, and then crossing that section into that opposite section of hair. So repeat. Now we're just going to take a small section of hair off that left section, and we're just going to hold it. And then we're just going to take a small section of hair from the front of our head and combine it into that left section, cross them both over into that right section. Repeat. Take a small section of hair from that right section, hold on to it, add in a small section of hair from the front into that right section, combine them, cross them both over into the left section of hair. And keep going. So I'm going to show you 2 more times. So we're going to take off a small section of hair from the left section, add in a section of hair from the front into that left section, cross them both over into that right section of hair. Repeat. So take off a small section of hair from the right section, add in a section of hair from the front into that right section, cross them both over into the left section of hair. And then last time, take off a small section of hair from the left section, hold on to it, add in a section of hair from the front into it, combine them, cross them both over into that right section of hair. Repeat. So you can see I was so tired. So take up a small strand of hair from that right section, add in a section of hair from the front into that section of hair, cross them both into that left section. And then you just keep repeating this all the way down. So this is very tedious. It's definitely an arm workout. It's a lot harder than the first 2 braids, but it is possible. You're just working with 2 strands, so it's pretty simple. It's just, like I said, very tedious because you are taking small sections. If you do take big sections, your French fishtail will end up looking like a French braid. So that's why you want to make sure you are taking those small sections. The French fishtail is such a beautiful braid once you get the hang of it. I would always get questions from people when I would be like out and about wearing it, like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? And really it's pretty simple. I mean, you're just working with 2 strands, just like a regular French braid, except a French braid is 3 strands. So once you get the French braid down, you can definitely 110% do this one. And yes, your arms will get tired. You just have to work through it. You can see that I keep putting my arms down to just kind of rest because my shoulders were burning. And that's just kind of what you have to do to power through it. So now I just brought my hair around and we're finishing off the fishtail. So because I did bring it around, you want to make sure that you are crossing your strands opposite. So I'm taking my strands under. Now if my hands were still in the back of my head, I would keep crossing them over. But because we brought it around, we have to cross them under, otherwise it's going to look goofy. So just keep doing this, crossing your strands underneath, and just tie it off into a clear elastic. So this is what it looks like without pancaking it. You can definitely leave it as is. It looks super cute, but of course I'm going to be extra and I'm just going to pancake it. So I'm just taking those sections of hair and just kind of pulling them out and just kind of loosening them. So I'm starting at the top and just kind of working my way down. And for the fishtail part, I'm just kind of pulling out each section of the fishtail and just do that until you're happy with it. Make sure you do not pull it too much, but this is what you should end up with. I love this braid. It is absolutely beautiful. Now we're doing a Dutch fishtail. So same way, but we're crossing our strands under. So take your hair, divide it into two equal sections, take off a small strand of hair from the left section, cross it under into the right section. Take off a small section from the right section, cross it under into the left section. Now we're going to add in hair. So take off a small strand from that left section and just hold on to it. And you're going to take a small section, again, small section from the front, and you're going to add it into that strand. So now you have one big section, cross it under into that right section and just combine it. And then you're going to hold that section of hair and you're going to cross off, you're going to slice off a small section of hair from that right section, add in a small section of hair from the front into that right section, cross them both under into that left section, and you're just combining it. So again, we are going to take off a small section of hair from the left section, hold on to it, add in a section of hair with it, cross them both under into the opposite section of hair, and combine. And keep going. So we're going to take that right section of hair, slice off a small strand from it, and then we're going to add in a section of hair into that strand from the front, cross them both under into the opposite section of hair, and keep going. So slice off a small section of hair from that left section, add in a section of hair from the front with it, cross them both under into the opposite section of hair, and yeah. All right, one more time. So slice off a small section of hair from the right strand, add in a section of hair from the front with that strand, cross them both under into the opposite section. I lied, this will be the last time. Slice off a small section of hair from that left section, add in a strand from the front with it, cross them both under into the opposite section. There, that's the last one. And then you just keep going. So you're going to repeat all the way down. This one is a lot harder to see. You really don't start to see the braid until you're like, I don't know, in the middle. And then you're like, oh yeah, it's forming a Dutch French fishtail. And yeah, it's such a cute braid. Just like the French fishtail, this one is very tedious because you are taking such small sections. If you don't take small sections, it's not going to look defined and it's not going to look good. The key to a good fishtail, whether it's French, Dutch, or just a regular side fishtail, is taking small sections. So I'm just going to finish off my French fishtail braid into a normal fishtail. So I'm just taking small sections of hair from the outside strands, crossing them under. This part is simple because you don't have to add in hair. You're just literally crossing off a small section into the opposite section and doing this all the way down. So here in a minute, I'm just going to bring it around to the side. If you can keep going this way, it's probably best because you'll see here in a minute that I did mess up a little. But because I'm bringing it around to the opposite side, I am taking opposite strands as I'm crossing them over now. So I'm crossing them over instead of when I was in the back of my head, I was crossing them under. So keep that in mind if you bring it around to the side because your arms get tired. So here's what it looks like. So I'm just pancaking it, just taking the strands and just kind of fluffing them. You can see, maybe you can't see, but towards the end, right where my right hand is, I kind of messed up right there. I took too big of sections, but I still think it looks so good. So this is what the Dutch French fishtail looks like, or Dutch fishtail, goodness.
Okay guys, so that is my video. I hope you found this helpful. Hopefully you guys will try these braids and you guys will all be experts too. Let me know what other videos you want to see. I definitely do videos based on your recommendations. So yeah, thank you. I hope everyone stays safe and healthy, and thank you guys for watching my videos. Don't forget to subscribe and we will see you in the next one. Say bye, Nuxie. Bye.